GUNMETAL, a game about piloting a transforming Havoc suit during a future war on a planet Helios, initially released back in 2002 on the original Xbox, with a PC port the following year. This one was created by a company named Rage Software out of Liverpool in the UK. These guys seem to, for the most part, make sports games of sorts. Sports, ball, racing, fighting, that sort of thing, though GUNMETAL is one of their very few shooters. Unfortunately, GUNMETAL ended up being one of the final games from the group as their financial problems surmounted until bankruptcy in early 2003. Side note, the game we are talking about today is titled Gun Space Metal, not to be confused with Mad Genius Software's 1998 GUNMETAL without the space. The 2002 game, as two words, is a third-person shooter where you turn into a fighter jet, and the 1998 game, with one word, is a first-person shooter where you're in some sort of sci-fi mini hover tank. I had really hoped to play both of them for this video so I could pit them against each other. GUNMETAL versus GUNMETAL seemed like a fun idea, but unfortunately I couldn't manage to get the 1998 game to function correctly on my modern hardware computer. So we're left with just one standing. Was GUNMETAL good? Bad? A hidden gem? Let's find out. But first I'll go ahead and introduce myself. Hi, I'm Empty. I'm a bit of a mech noob who discovered a deep love of giant robots. I made it my mission here on this YouTube channel to share my thoughts about every single mecha game ever made. If you'd like to keep up with my videos, go ahead and hit the sub button. If you do want to take that one step further and become a channel member for as low as $1 a month, I did finally get around to adding in some custom channel emojis. I think YouTube will let me add in more if the membership account bumps up to 5. So if you have any cool ideas for mech-relevant emojis, let me know down in the comments. Thanks. The game begins with an actually pretty cool cinematic, all things considered. At first, while the developer credits scroll in, we get a real short one of the Havoc mech suit stomping its way through the streets of somewhere, presumably in the UK. I think this must have been real video with the mech superimposed. After that, we get an action cinematic fully in the 3D graphics where we watch a group of hover tanks assault a military base as the Havoc suit takes flight to save the day. After this, we make it to the main menu screen. We write out our game save name before being prompted with mission select. This game has a whole 14 missions total. I guess back in the day, pre-release promotional materials had claimed the game would be launching with 25 full missions, however it seems a lot was cut from this one. Anyways, we start on a mission named 0 Hour, and it gives us a location of Zone 1, which is not very explanatory. Then we get to the loadout screen. I will say, while I didn't personally feel the need to swap out my loadouts, as most missions seem to hand over a new and fun weapon into my arsenal, I do appreciate that this is something that you could do. I also do think the game handled the way you were given these pretty well. It felt like some steady progress level to level. Anyways, you get 4 different weapons per the form of your Havoc suit. 4 weapons as the mecha, which is called Havoc Suit, and 4 transformed into the plane, which is called the Havoc Jet. We can click Launch here to begin briefing.
Finally time to reveal Project GUNMETAL. Show no mercy.
A gruff military general type that likes to take big breaths during his voice acting work lets us know what our job is before sortie. Here, it's revealed this will be Project GUNMETAL's reveal to the enemy forces as we are sent to defend an intelligence headquarters within some farming land. And this is how the whole story is told. I played through the entire game and tried to pay attention to these, but I don't really think any of them actually dropped knowledge that produced a plot. Really, it's more so loosely connected. You have a mission to go fight some bad guys here, go blow up this thing, or go blow up that thing, That's actually kind of disappointing if you're someone like me, who generally wants a story and not just a random shooting gallery. I did play the entire thing, and I'm not exactly even sure if the game itself ever mentions you're on the planet Helios, who exactly the enemies are, what the war is over, which military you were fighting for. Maybe that was knowledge just on the back of the box or in an instruction manual. There's no characters here. It's all just pretty much a big blank. I suppose this would have been compelling to me as a kid back in the 2000s, as I probably wouldn't have paid that much attention to an actual plotline anyways. Maybe. Okay, so we do get to the first mission, which you would assume would be a tutorial teaching us the controls. But no, actually quite the opposite. I think as soon as the load intro finishes, we are in a firefight already. Thankfully, we are with a companion military, which gives us a little bit more leeway as we figure out what button does what. And here comes the biggest flaw about the game for me: the controls. Now, after playing the game on PC with mouse and keyboard, I did peruse a review on the original Xbox version, and I watched the one made by a certain Camp Xbox, as I figured it would maybe be important for me to see how the game functioned on its original hardware. Did I fumble with the controls because the game itself is wonky, or is it just the PC port, or I think maybe probably some of both. I did note that in Camp's review, one of the things he did say he liked was how smooth the controls felt, so I guess this specific thing must be a mouse and keyboard problem. Things felt super slippery to me. The aiming reticle does this weird thing where you only actually turn if it reaches the sides of the screen, which kind of just makes the whole thing feel like you should be underwater or something. It's weird. Don't get me wrong, it was playable, but it wasn't comfortable for me. And I also checked the Steam discussion forum for the game, and it seems other players have been met with similar fates. Unsupported graphics card errors, mouse not registering at all in-game, several people asking for in-game cheats, and of course, people talking about the weirdo mouse control. So, I mean, if you intend to play this one, just be aware it's old and might be buggy on modern hardware, unfortunately. Besides the odd mouse control, the other controls were pretty standard. WASD to move and mouse to shoot, change your weapons and transform. When in jet mode, you get to do some cool dives up or down in order to do a U-turn, and you'll also be able to do a cool spinny barrel roll to try and get out of trouble. If you do run out of ammo, you gotta find a pickup, but if you run out of health, you'll need to find a recharging tower. You also move what felt like to me as extremely fast when you're in the jet mode, which didn't really help with the whole slippery feeling thing. And also, I guess while I'm griping, I'll say that if you do end up facing the sun, they went a realistic route here, and you become absolutely blinded beyond belief. But I should touch on the graphics. While they were perhaps pretty standard for 2002, something about the style itself felt really cool for me. A lot of reflective chrome and empty environmental space. The skybox moved extremely fast, casting cloud shadows down on the land, which gave the whole thing a surreal vibe. Very 2002 tech art. Really reminded me of the times, as I felt like I was playing through one of those weird, trippy, edgy ads you would have seen in magazines back then. Musically, this one hit a similar vein. This is something I'd probably listen to by itself, actually. The crunchy mash of, like, Unreal Tournament-styled drum and bass blended into industrial metal. Scary techno. This stuff isn't going to be everybody's cup of tea, and I do know some of the tracks blend together and are awfully noisy, but I'm pretty pleased that every level did seem to get its very own piece of the soundtrack. And back to the gameplay, which is just sorta okay. The game did end up with really middling review scores, and yeah, it probably deserves that. Pretty basic: fight off an enemy, guard from an enemy, blow up a building, keep the enemies from blowing up a building. The one thing that this does have going for it that not many others do is the seamless transition from land combat to air combat. You can chase down a dropship as a jet, and then at the push of a button you're back on your feet, turning the foot soldiers coming out of its bay into Swiss cheese army men. That's probably the biggest thing to appreciate about this one. Okay, so there is more map variety than just big open plains. At different points in the game you'll end up in deserts and snowy mountainous regions. You'll fight not just foot soldiers and tanks, but air traffic as well. Some of the bigger aircraft have unique areas to damage on them that you'll have to do some bombing runs on before the main explodey part opens up to let you terminate the flight. The more difficult missions I felt were the ones set in low-flying valleys you'd have to stealth through. The enemy has big guns mounted on the peaks, which means you have to fly low in order to avoid being one-shot. The catch is they also have strong defenses like turrets and floating mines in the lower section. On top of that, you're on a timer having to stop warheads before they launch. There were also a few what I'd call boss encounters, pretty loosely. A much bigger ship, and then an entire mission dedicated to taking out a shielded building. The building's shield in question is powered by smaller buildings around it. Gotta blow them all up one by one to get the gooey center of that Tootsie Pop. When you get to the end of the game, you do get another cool cinematic where all the troops salute the Havoc suit as the credits roll. And two things I didn't mention about this game yet: how long it takes to beat, and how much it costs. First point, this game is extremely short. A good handful of the 14 missions can be completed quicker than a smoke break at your 9 to 5, being only a few minutes long entirely. A full first run of the game is only expected to be 2 to 3 hours, though speedrunners have dropped that into less than 1 hour. Second point, that kind of falls into the first, this game is cheap. Cheaper than a pack of smokes for your smoke break on that 9 to 5. We're talking full priced at $2.99, but the thing is frequently on sale for a whopping 50 cents. On one hand, it's hard for me to really say that I recommend this game as anything more than a nostalgic curiosity, but on the other hand, it's really kind of hard not to give it a thumbs up because I definitely feel like I got more than a $50 worth of fun out of the experience.